Top 5 Most Controversial Infrastructure Projects in Africa. Are you curious about the most controversial infrastructure projects in Africa? From hydroelectric dams to oil pipelines, these projects have sparked debate and raised questions about their potential impacts on the environment, local communities, and downstream countries. Nevertheless, what makes an infrastructure project controversial? Controversial projects often involve various issues, including environmental impacts, social and cultural impacts, economic concerns, and allegations of corruption or human rights abuses. Infrastructure projects are not uncommonly face opposition, as they can often bring significant changes to the region where they are located. In some cases, projects may be perceived as benefiting a select group of people or companies rather than the broader population. This list should not be taken as a definitive ranking of Africa's most controversial infrastructure projects, and the views expressed here do not necessarily reflect my own opinions. This list aims to highlight some of the infrastructure projects that have faced controversy in Africa in the past. Here are a few examples of infrastructure projects that have faced controversy in Africa in the past. 1. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. The Grand Renaissance Dam, also known as the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, is a hydroelectric dam located on the Blue Nile River in Ethiopia. It is currently under construction and is expected to be completed in 2023. The dam was first proposed in the 1960s, but construction did not begin until 2011. The dam's primary purpose is electricity production to relieve Ethiopia's acute energy shortage and export electricity to neighboring countries. With a planned installed capacity of 5.15 gigawatts, the dam will be the largest hydroelectric power plant in Africa when completed and among the 20 most extensive in the world. Furthermore, the project is primarily funded by the Ethiopian government, with some additional funding from international organizations and other sources. A consortium of Italian and Ethiopian companies is constructing the dam. It is located about 20 kilometers east of the border between Ethiopia and Sudan and is approximately 15 kilometers upstream from the city of Gondar. When completed, the dam is expected to have a capacity of 74 billion cubic meters of water. The first phase of filling the reservoir began in July 2020, and the third filling was completed on August 12, 2022, to a level of 600 meters. Depending on hydrologic conditions during the filling period, it will take between 4 and 7 years to fill with water. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam has been the source of controversy and disagreement between Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt. One of the main concerns is the dam's potential impact on the downstream countries, particularly in terms of water flow and availability. There are also concerns about the potential for the dam to cause flooding or other environmental problems. 2. The Chad-Cameroon Oil Pipeline. The Chad-Cameroon Oil Pipeline is a crude oil transportation system that runs from oil fields in Chad to a terminal on the coast of Cameroon. The pipeline was constructed between 2000 and 2003 to export oil from landlocked Chad to international markets. The project was developed and implemented by a consortium of companies led by ExxonMobil, with funding from various sources, including the World Bank and other international organizations. The Chad-Cameroon oil pipeline has provided significant benefits for Chad and Cameroon, including increased government revenue and the potential for economic development. The project has also helped to increase the reliability and security of Chad's oil exports, which are an essential source of income for the country. Notably, some of the main controversies surrounding the pipeline include 1. Environmental impact. There were concerns that the pipeline could negatively impact the environment, including the potential for oil spills and the destruction of habitats. 2. Human rights. There were also concerns about the pipeline's potential impacts on local communities, including land acquisition and compensation issues. 3. Corruption. Some critics argue that the consortium of companies behind the pipeline unduly benefited from the project at the expense of the local population. 4. Political instability. Chad has a history of political instability, and some critics argue that the revenue generated by the pipeline could be used to fuel conflict or support authoritarian regimes. 3. The Mozambique LNG project. The Mozambique Liquefied Natural Gas Project is a natural gas development project located in Mozambique. The project is being developed by a consortium of companies led by Anadarko Petroleum Corporation to extract and export natural gas from offshore fields in Mozambique. Construction on the project began in 2018 and is expected to be completed in 2024. A combination of equity investments from the consortium members and debt financing from various sources, including international banks and financial institutions, is funding the project. When completed, the Mozambique LNG project is expected to have a capacity of approximately 15.2 million metric tons of liquefied natural gas per year. The project is expected to provide significant economic benefits for Mozambique, including increased government revenue and the potential for job creation and economic development. There have been several controversies surrounding the project, including environmental impacts. There are concerns such as the risk of oil spills, habitat destruction, and greenhouse gas emissions. Human rights. There have also been concerns related to land acquisition and compensation, as well as the potential for the project to contribute to social and economic inequality. Corruption. The project has been linked to allegations of corruption, with some critics arguing that the consortium of companies behind the project unduly benefited from the project at the expense of the local population. Political instability. Mozambique has a history of political instability, and some critics have argued that the revenue generated by the project could be used to fuel conflict or support authoritarian regimes. Cost overruns and delays. The project has faced significant delays and cost overruns, which has led to concerns about the financial viability of the project and its ability to deliver on its promised benefits. 4. The Inga Dam. The Inga Dam is a hydroelectric dam located on the Congo River in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. The dam is currently under construction, beginning in the 1970s. However, it is not currently clear when it will be completed. The dam is being developed by the DRC government with support from a variety of international organizations and other partners. The primary purpose of the Inga Dam is to generate electricity for the people of the DRC and to help the country's economic development. When completed, the dam is expected to have a capacity of approximately 40,000 megawatts of electricity, making it one of the largest hydroelectric dams in the world. The Inga Dam is expected to provide significant benefits for the DRC, including increased access to electricity and the potential for economic development. It is also expected to help reduce the country's reliance on fossil fuels. There have been several controversies surrounding the project, including environmental impacts. There are concerns about the project, including the risk of flooding and habitat destruction. Human rights. There have also been concerns about the issues related to land acquisition and compensation, as well as the potential for the project to contribute to social and economic inequality. Corruption. Some critics argue that the DRC government and its partners have unduly benefited from the project at the expense of the local population. Political instability. The DRC has a history of political instability and conflict, thus, the dam's revenue could be used to fuel further conflict or support authoritarian regimes. Cost overruns and delays. The project has faced financial and technical challenges, political instability, and conflict in the eastern DRC. 5. The Mombasa Nairobi Standard Gauge Railway. The Mombasa Nairobi Standard Gauge Railway (SGR) is a railway line that runs from Mombasa, a port city in Kenya, to Nairobi, the capital of Kenya. The railway was constructed by the Chinese Road and Bridge Corporation (CRBC) and was completed in 2017. The primary purpose of the railway is to improve transportation connectivity between Mombasa and Nairobi and to help facilitate economic development in Kenya. The project was funded through a combination of Kenyan government resources and loans from the Chinese government. At the cost of $3.6 billion, the SGR was among Kenya's most expensive infrastructure projects when it was launched. The Mombasa Nairobi SGR is expected to provide significant benefits for Kenya, including improved transportation connectivity and reduced travel times between Mombasa and Nairobi. The railway is also expected to help stimulate economic development in the region and to create new job opportunities. There have been several controversies surrounding the project, including environmental impacts. There are concerns, including the destruction of habitats and the potential for pollution. Human rights. There have also been concerns about the potential impacts of the railway on local communities, including land acquisition and compensation issues. Corruption. Some critics argue that the Kenyan government and its partners have unduly benefited from the project at the expense of the local population. Cost overruns and delays. The project has faced challenges, including land acquisition issues and the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. Debt. The project has also faced criticism for the amount of debt Kenya has taken on to fund the railway, with some critics arguing that the country will have difficulty paying back the loans. Especially since, as of 2020, railway operation expenses exceeded its revenues. Conclusion. In conclusion, there have been several controversial infrastructure projects in Africa, including the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, the Chad-Cameroon oil pipeline, the Mozambique LNG project, the Inga Dam, and the Mombasa Nairobi Standard Gauge Railway, among others. These projects have faced various challenges, including environmental and human rights concerns, allegations of corruption, and financial and technical difficulties. It is important to note that discussing these controversial projects is not to cause panic, but to educate and raise awareness about the potential impacts of infrastructure development in Africa. All infrastructure projects in the region must be carefully planned and implemented in a way that considers the needs and concerns of local communities and the environment. It is also essential that there is transparency and accountability in the planning and execution of these projects. We hope that by bringing attention to these issues, we can encourage more responsible and sustainable infrastructure development in Africa. Again, these are just a few examples, and the list is by no means exhaustive. It is important to note that not all infrastructure projects in Africa are controversial, and many projects have the potential to bring significant benefits to the region. Thank you for watching the video. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment on the video. Have a good night or day.